right? Threading, right? What is thread and how to handle thread concepts we have seen. Right, today's class will start with the inner classes. Right, we will use very rarely, but right, this is also one of the important topic. Right, what are the inner classes? Right, so far we have seen classes. Right, so far we have seen classes. Class will contain a right. Class will contain what it will contain. Uh, Member variables and methods. Right. Class will contain a some right methods. Right. We can also define right another class also. Inside a main class, we can also have a class like variable and method. We can also define a class that is called a inner class or nested classes. Inner classes or nested classes. Right, why we will go for these nested classes whenever we require some security, tight coupling, right? Something, suppose if you take a that a employee, right? Employee, maybe employee address that we have it. Right, these two are employee and address are tightly, right? We can do it as a tightly coupled. That means we can define address inside a employee class. Or they are student and then marks. Right, student and marks. Marks class we can keep it inside a student class because right these marks are related to student only. Right, these are all tightly coupled. There are some scenarios we will get right where we require a security. That means outside this class no one should access this data. Right, only employee can access this address or student only access these marks. Right, some scenarios will be there. Some other security reasons. Right, we will define those classes right inside a class. Right, such type of classes we will call it as a inner classes or nested classes. Right, inner classes means defined inside a another class. Right, there are different types of classes. Right, there are different types of classes. Right, we have a non-static inner class and a static nested class, static nested class, local inner class, anonymous inner class. We will call it as a non-static inner class or static nested class, local inner class, anonymous inner class. We will see one by one. Right, fine. We'll create a right one more package. Okay, close this. Right click new package. Okay, fine. We'll create as a inner classes. Okay, fine. Inner classes. We can create a right. First one. What is the first one? We'll see non-static inner class or inner class. Just we can also call it as a inner class. Right. Okay. Instead of this, we can take it as some meaningful names so that right we will understand more. Right. We will take a student and marks. Right. Rename to student. Right. A student can have right some name, age, and then name and age. Okay. And there's some constructor and getter and setter method. Just two string to print the data of it. Right. Later we want to store a marks instead of creating marks as a separate class, what we can make it inside a class, inside a student class, we'll create a marks class. Right, we can create a marks class. Right. Here marks means we can take a or at a different number of right. We'll take a integer. Right subject. Right maybe subject one. Right we can take subject two. Right we can take like this. Subject one and two. And then we can have a one method here public void right display. The display marks. Okay, fine. Display the marks of the student. No, just will make it as subject one and subject two. Make it right. We have created a class. This is the outer class, and this is a inner class. A class inside a class is called inner class or nested class. Right here, suppose we can make it as a main method. Right now, if I want to call the student class methods, right? Student class methods are variable. How we can call? We can create directly student something. Some student equal to new student. Something we can give the name of the student one. But what is the age of student? Maybe something. Right, we can create like that. But if we try to create a marks class, right, new marks. Then if you observe what it is saying, no enclosing instance of student is accessible. Must qualify the allocation. Because see how we are accessing student class by variables or methods by creating the student class, right? By set something. Okay. Right, by using student class object, we are accessing variables or methods. Right, variables or methods. Variables or methods by using the object. Similarly, it is also a one type of property. That's it. Class property. Right. This is a class. To access this marks also we require a student class object only. How to call student dot marks equal to st. What is the object dot? Here we have to create a new then marks. Right, like this we have to create the object of the inner class. Student dot marks, then where object name equal to right. First we have to create the object of the right outer class. Then on the outer class, just we have to create a object of marks. Here we will create like a outer object dot new and then marks. Right, then we can right call the display marks. We can call the display marks marks dot right. We can set the values to the marks. Right, by using right here object creation of object creation is different. Right, object creation is different. If you want to access the data of the right inner class, we have to create object like student dot marks and then object name, then outer class object dot new and then inner class marks. Right, in the inner class, can we access these student outer class variables? Right, we'll see. Right, inside a method, I'll try to see. Let's see, I can able to access variable. Right, I am able to access this private variable. and this methods, let's see, I am able to access. Right, inside the inner class, I can access the inner class variables. Sorry, in the inner sorry, in inside a inner class, I can access the outer class variables and methods. Outer class variables and method I can access in the inner class. But if you want to access right directly inner class variables or methods, suppose right, it will not be visible. It will not be visible. Only outer class variables and methods I can access in the inner class. If we want to access inner class methods and variable, we have to create the object of. We have to create the object of it. Then only we can able to access those. Right, we can access outer class members. Static is not allowed. Suppose if there is a static variable, right, in the outer class private, something static string, something school name, right, something some school name anyways. Right, if you try to access this inside a inner class, let's see, it's allowing no issues. Okay, it's allowing. But what is this non-static inner class? Inside another class, non-static can access outer class members. Static, okay, maybe that is the different meaning, right? We can access the static variables of outer class, but if you try to create a static inside, is it allowed? Suppose subject. Sorry, right? It's allowed noise. Right, we are able to access. Right, no issues. Right, it's okay, fine. We can call the pair outer class static variables inside a inner class, or we can also declare inside a static variables also. Static variables also. No issues. Right, there is no issue. Right, this is a non-static inner class. That means simple. One our parent class, one child class. Simple inner class. No, not a child and parent. Outer class, inner class. Right. Then see, this is one more example. Bank account and transaction. Right, bank account as a transaction. In that case, we right bank account. Inside a bank account, we created a transaction. Right, whenever you require a tightly coupled, that means outside this class, no one should access, right? Provide security reasons. We should not allow, right? Then we will have a this type of inner class. That means it is a tightly coupled, right? It is a tightly coupled class. Then one more type of inner class is static, static class, static inner class, right? Static inner class. Suppose same example, maybe employee, right? Maybe employee name is, right? We can take it as a something company name, employee company. Right? Static class, static inner class means we have to declare as a static. We have to declare as a static before the class. It will become a static inner class. Now see, in the static, this is a static class. In the whenever we have learned the inside a static, right? We have learned static concept. Inside a static block or anything, we cannot access. we cannot directly access non-static variable. Right. Non-static variable because this AIs and these two are non-static variables. Outer class non-static variable. In the static context, we cannot directly use the these two age and non-static variables and methods. But static variable we can access. Right. Outer class static variable we can access. Right. But see one more issue. But how to create the object of it? Right. This is a directly static class, right? We have to create in a different way. We have to create in a different way, right? Here we don't require, I think, any parent employee dot marks, employee dot marks, new employee dot marks. We don't require separate object here. We don't require any outer class object. Directly we can create right inner class by using employee dot. That means this is the static class. Directly we can call employee dot marks. Right. Static inner class means right we can keep it as a before the class static, right? But outside we cannot create. Suppose if we try to give here the outer class as a static, right? It will not allow. What is the valid modifiers? Outer class, public, abstract, fine. These three only it will allow outer class. We can create abstract class, we can create public class, we can create final class. These three only it will allow. It will not allow outside class as a static. Inside class, we can make it as a right any type of class. Static class, public class, private class. We can make it any type of class, inner class. Right. This is mostly we will use in the Java builder part, builder patterns. Right. Usually we will not create these inner classes very rarely, but we should have a knowledge on it. Then only we are able to create. But there are predefined builders will be there. Data processing frameworks or builders they will create. Suppose this is the one example of it. Correct. User has a name and dash. Here we are taking a builder. Builder means what it will do? Just it will print the data, or if you want to call the chaining of methods, right? Then we will go for a builder. Suppose here we have a static builder. We are taking again name and age that we are setting. See set name, get name. We are returning builder class object. Same class we are returning. Here, what is the use of it? We can right. If we see here new user dot builder set name set is dot build. It will return the parent class, that means outer class object. We are setting what it is doing here, just whatever data we are setting in the builder, it will set in the builder, it will set the data, set name, set age, and again it will create the object of outer class, set this data, whatever we have sent, and the return the user object. Right, why we require like this means that is a security only. Right. This is the like a builder pattern. That means we don't want to expose directly. Right. There is no setter and getter. See, in the user class, there is no constructor. You cannot assign anything. There is no setter and getter methods. You cannot retrieve or anything. Right. By using that inner class only, static inner class, by using inner class only, we can do the operations. To get the object of outer class, we have to create the object of inner class. Right, it keeps related builder logic inside class, but does not require any outer class instance. Right, simple. This is a static inner class. If we write before the class as a static, then it will called a static inner class. Mostly we will use for builder patterns and the data process. If you want to call multiple methods, right, then we will go for this one. One more is a local inner class. Right, this is local inner class. That means method local inner class. That means what it will do inside a method, we have to create the class inside a method. Right, method local inner method local. Okay, method local inner class. Right, suppose we take same thing, we will take it. Right. Okay, fine. This is the display method. Inside a display method itself, inside a method itself, we have a class. Right, class will have a some method here, but this will be accessible within this method only. Right, within this method only. Right, we cannot access this inner class will be visible within this method only. Right, suppose if you see inner, there is a method inner class. If you want to create the object directly, we can create inside a display method itself. We can directly create. We don't require any outer class. Don't know about this inner class because the scope is only within the method only. Right. If we declare any methods inside a variable, any variables if we declare inside a method, that is local variable. Similarly, this is a local to this method, local class, method local class. Right here directly in the method only we can create the object, we can call it. Outside we cannot. Suppose if we call this one, I cannot call outer dot inner display. Right, it will not be visible. Right, we can call only this method on the outside method. Then it will call again inner class. It will create the object of inner class and it will do the actions of it. Right, this is a method local inner class. Inside a method, we will create a class. Right, used for encapsulated operations inside a method, such as GUI, event handling, or file processing. Right, there is a process file method, then a logger. There is a class called logger. Right, then these things. Right, only. These are all we don't require much on these things. Just if you know idea of it, right, that's enough. Use it for encapsulated operations inside a method, right, such as GUI, event handling, or file processing. Keeps the helper class hidden within the method scope, not exposed to the rest of the app. Rest of the app. Right, this is a method local inner class. That means if you create a class inside a method, that is called a method local inner class. And one more is already we have seen this anonymous inner class in the while learning, right, functional interfaces. Right, we have seen how to create anonymous inner class. That means what is anonymous inner class? Anonymous inner class will don't have any name. It don't have any name. Right. Use it to provide implementation of interfaces or classes on the fly. Right. Suppose. Okay. We'll take mostly it is used for abstract classes, interfaces, or normal classes also. We can. Mm, okay. We'll take. Okay. Mm, great. Right. Then we can create a just grid. We don't require all these things. Just a simple thing. We will keep it as a grid. Just hello. Hello. Simple thing. Hello. Okay. Fine. Then if you want to call this, we can create the object of it and we can greet it. That we can do like this. Suppose, right, there is a child class, I want to override it. Suppose if we have a one child class, right, extends grid. Right, if we want to do it, what we have to do, we have to override. That means I want to change the implementation of the greeting. If I want to change the implementation of the greeting, what is the concept we know? Method overriding concept we know. Right, we can create one class and then extend it, and then we can change the implementation of it. Right, implementation of it. But if we are using only one place, but if you are using only in one place, this child class, only one time, right? Only one time. Then in those cases, why we require this create no right? Unnecessarily we are creating child class and then right creating, implementing and doing it instead of creating separate class. Instead of creating separate class, what we can do? We can create a right anonymous inner class. Right, we have to give how to create anonymous here. Just what it has a right greeting right like this. We have to keep curly brackets open and then close. At the end, we have to give semicolon and then override the this method. We can override greet method and we can provide the details. Right, same thing this is. Right, if we call a greet method, right, which one will call? Where is this? See, hello anonymous. Right, same thing we achieved, right? Method overriding concept if you right. But if you have multiple places, then we can create the separate class and we can do it. But if there is a only one requirement, that means only one time usage, then directly we can go for anonymous inner class. Right, directly we can go anonymous inner class. Right. Usually we will create for not for the normal classes. We can do it, but usually we will not do it for the normal classes. Usually, which type of classes we will create? Abstract classes. Usually abstract classes means what? It will have a abstract method. Right. Usually we will have a abstract method. Right. If we have a abstract, by default, what it is? Public abstract method. If we give or don't give, it will have a that if we create the abstract, sorry, interfaces, right? That is here we have to give the abstract. If we have a abstract method, if we have a abstract method, we have to change the class also abstract. We have to make it as a class also abstract, right? Without abstract, inside normal class, you cannot create abstract method, right? You cannot. We have to change it to abstract class. Then only we can create abstract. Now, if you want to provide implementation for this, right? Implementation for this, right? Just hello anonymous. Right. Usually we will create a anonymous inner classes for either interfaces or abstract classes mostly. Right. Interfaces are suppose if it is a interface, right, we will make it this as a formal class. We'll make it as a interface. Right. In interface we will have a right. If we don't declare also by default it is public abstract methods. Public abstract methods. Okay. Is it allowed? Main method is not found inside a inner class dot greeting one. Right, because in interface we cannot create this one. If we create also, what will happen? It is unable to. I think this one is. There are two ways to run it. I think one is right interface. Okay, fine. It's working fine. Uh, Here the problem is right. Once we create the classes, how the structure will be. Right. What will happen in the backend? Right. At the starting time, we have, I told you, whenever we create the classes, JVM, what it will do, it will create a corresponding class files. Right. Corresponding byte code files. Right. That is a byte code class file. What it will contain class file. These class files can be run on any mission. Right. These class files can be run on any. I have developed implemented in Windows. You can run by taking this class to right Mac or Linux. We can run on it. Right. Suppose what is the package we have inner classes. If we go, right, what will happen if we have a child class? See employee for child class, how it is creating dot class file employee dollar mocks. But if we see here method local inner class also method local inner, how it is creating method local inner class dollar one inner dot class. And then abstract class, this one anonymous inner class also. It don't have any name. Anonymous inner class don't have any name. That's why what will happen, it will create as a 1, 2, 3 like this. Suppose if we create one more, right, I can create any number of right here. I will over it like this. Okay. Then if we see 2, if we have a one more anonymous inner class, it will create a greeting to dollar 2. What is the class name? Greeting to dollar 2. It is creating some with the numbers 1, 2, 3. It don't have anonymous inner class, don't have any name of the class. On the fly, just we will create the object and we can provide the implementation of it. Right. We have to run like this greeting to inner class. Right. Then only it will work. Otherwise, if we choose any other, suppose if we take this one inner class, it will not work out because it don't have any main method. Inside inner class, we don't have any inner main method. We have to choose this. That if we have a, okay, this is about it. Okay. Can we, right? It is allowing main method, right? Inside a interface, we can create it, right? It's working. Maybe so far we have not done, right? That's why we, but it will allow, see, it is allow main method inside a interface. We are able to execute it, right? Fine. Just let me revert it. Okay. Anonymous inner class, right? We have 4 types of
Sir, we are unable to listen to your
okay.
voice.
Are you able to
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think network is fine. Where we will use these anonymous inner classes, right? If you have idea about a swing application, Java will provide a Java FX swing. There we can use, but mostly we know about thread, right? We have learned about thread. We can create anonymous class for the thread also. Right? For thread object, what we have to provide? We can provide a runnable interface. Right? A runnable. For runnable interface, we have a run method. I suppose. We keep it inside a main method. Right? We can create a thread object, right? Like this. Right. Instead of creating another class, implementing runnable, right, and then create the object of it pass to thread. Usually we will do like that, right? But here we can create 1 second. Yeah. So, right. We can usually how in the last class what we have seen, we can create the thread object by using two ways, either by extend or implementing. Here what we can do directly instead of creating some other class implements runnable and provide interface run method implementation. Directly we can create like this anonymous inner class for the thread object. Right in the collection also. Right while learning collection, we have seen one more thing. Right, if you want to sort it, right, you want to sort it based on comparator. Right, comparable comparator we have seen. Collection dot sort, we have to pass the list object. And then we have to pass the comparator object. Right, we have to pass the comparator object. Right, instead of that, we can create an anonymous inner class, new comparator of. This is the implementation of that. Right, we can create a separate class and implement the comparator and override the compare method. Right, we can do that. But instead of that, right, we can create a simple way, anonymous inner class. Right, anonymous inner classes. Right, these are the four types of inner classes we have. Right, normal inner classes, static inner classes, method local inner classes, anonymous inner classes. Right, anonymous inner classes. Right, that's it. I think you have any questions or anything.